I would like to say one thing. For everyone within the sound of my voice, I'd like to tell you that the money to send your son or daughter to the college of their choice is available. Paying is the easy part. Getting in is the tough part.
Numbers are not good enough. In the admissions process, there's only one moment in time when the student's stuff shows up in the admissions office, and it better shine. They need an application where the words jump off the page. The next thing is what's on the application. In the Florida state applications, for those listeners who have kids that are going to apply to Florida schools, one of the questions is, please check your ethnicity. Now, a lot of schools will ask a question similar to that. The correct answer is with a check mark. They don't want an X, because they're not looking to accept students, they're looking to reject for any reason whatsoever. The schools have so many applicants that they can't possibly take them all, and the first thing they have to do is find out who didn't comply and who didn't fill out and who didn't follow all the instructions on the application, and those are the students that we don't need. It's very important that the student position themselves in the admissions process along the entire career of high school, because all the financial aid in the world isn't going to do any good if they don't have an admission ticket. And they need to start doing community service in the 9th grade, getting into clubs, not just joining, but being a member, an officer, take an active role, because this way the student will get an edge in the admissions process. They don't necessarily get rewarded for not giving families all the financial aid they're really qualified for, but it does put a feather in their cap if they can get away by buying a qualified student cheap. The student should have no money. In the financial aid formula, a student has no asset protection allowance. Depending on how the family is presented in the admissions process to the school, the student will qualify for scholarships, grants, if they merit them, and then, of course, depending on their income and assets, they'll get loans, and the expected family contribution can be lowered based on certain legal steps that we use to reposition assets. You have to be prepared for a surprise question, and the longer that the student is in the interview, the better. They don't want to be in there for 15 minutes and then they're gone, because they have to leave an impression. And I also suggest that they leave a resume with the interviewer, and also a copy of one of the special essays that I outline in the book, why I must attend your particular college. And another strategy that we also like to employ is having the student give a business card.
Oh, that's interesting.
It'll blow them away. All students need to consider the common application. Don't use it if the school has their own, because in the admissions process there are so many applicants that the schools are not looking to admit students, they're looking to reject first. 3 years ago, Princeton had 19,000 applicants. The freshman class was made up of 1,200 students. They had to reject 95%, of which probably 95% were qualified. But we have a lot of things in the book of turning a qualified student into an acceptable student. As little as possible. We try to avoid having the parent go into the financial aid office as the parent. They're just there, and we caution them that if they open their mouth, they may say the wrong thing, and they need to look at their watch and excuse themselves because they have another appointment. One thing that all families need to be aware of is that in the financial aid formulas, students have no asset protection allowance. Every dollar that a student has in a savings account or a Uniform Gift to Minors Act account, etc., will be assessed at a year in the financial aid formulas. These monies can be repositioned legally to be outside the formulas where the money will be accessible, guaranteed, safe, insured, etc. And in many cases we have to reposition parent assets because they're over the parent asset protection allowance. A family of 4, that's 2 parents and 2 children, 45 to 49 will have a $44,300 asset protection allowance. Now that's outside of their home, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, other real estate that they may own, and they have to be very careful as far as how much money they have, or it'll just be tacked on in the financial aid formulas and they'll have to pay more when they could actually pay a lot less.